Recording in progress.
Good morning, Bill.
Good morning. How are you?
Good.
Good.
Um, they're coming to start doing our driveway today.
Oh, what are you having done?
Um, oh, I haven't told you about this. Well, a lot of grading, getting rid of the rocks and stuff,
Uh-huh.
and then he's putting down a surface that's a combination of 80% ground blacktop and 20% very fine gravel,
Okay.
which is rolled um, down so you have a flat surface, but it's not impervious.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not it's
No.
not like a solid blacktop.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's supposed to be very very nice. We've seen samples of it. Um, looks good. The guy who does it is a terrible communicator. Said he was going to be here, you know, 2 months ago. Um,
Yeah, I think we kid about it a lot. I mean, I'm using a landscaper for some of the yard cleanup and maintenance this year for the first time.
yeah.
But not just this year, but last year with snow removal, all of those people seem to have a genetic disposition to not respond, to be late.
Tell me about it. So, uh, this guy was supposed to be here first thing this morning. So,
Yeah,
so I got up early so that I'd be able to greet him first thing and go over a couple of things outside.
yeah.
And he didn't call until about 15 minutes ago to tell me that it would be a little later today. But hey, he's coming, and his reputation in terms of what his work is superb.
Oh, good. What's his name?
John Allegra,
Okay.
he does that, and he also does some um, excavation work,
Hmm.
and he also has horses which are trained to pull carts and wagons and carriages, and that he rents out to movies and
Yeah.
personal people. Interesting guy.
Yeah.
Very nice when you can
Yeah.
actually get in touch with him.
Yeah. Morning, Jeff.
Hey, good morning, Bill. Good
Hi,
to see
Jeff.
you. David.
Okay.
How's the boy?
Great. Yeah, doing well. He started kindergarten and acclimating well, and so far so good.
Is he enjoying kindergarten?
He doesn't enjoy leaving here and going there in the morning, but every time I pick him up, which is 3 days now, he's happy. So while he's there, he likes it, but I think he just enjoys being at home with us as well. So it's just a little transition in the morning that's still a little bit difficult, but I think he likes it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me a moment.
All right.
Hello. Yes. Judy. Yes. I called her and I talked to David. Yes. Oh, there's no class because they're going to be working on our driveway. You couldn't get in here. Yeah. So we'll see you next week. Okay. Bye. student from another class.
Yeah.
Where were we? Oh, guess we're ready to begin, maybe.
Yeah.
I think so.
So, did you get a chance to look at last week's last
Two
video,
weeks.
The
Bill?
video, yes, I did. Yeah.
Any questions?
No, no.
Okay. How are things going for you in your practice?
Um, well, I guess considering I'm on vacation, they're okay. They're going okay. You know, I am getting practice in, which
Good.
which is good. Um, so I don't know. I don't have any particular issues in mind. You know.
Okay. Um, and how far do you, how far, excuse me, how far had we gone with bend and stretch with you?
I mean, in terms of
Being in terms of detail.
well, we've been doing the bend and stretch through. I mean, with you doing band stretch, etc., for a few weeks now, haven't we, Jeff?
Well, yes, but we had not gone in detail through the entire form. I did do
Right.
that. I did do that flow last week with Jeff,
Yeah, yeah.
but I wanted to go back and pick up being clear about detail on each movement.
Okay. Well, certainly Sparrow's Tail. We've gone over Sparrow's Tail a number of times.
I'm trying to remember where we stopped also, David, because it's been like 3 weeks since we did a detailed part now.
I should have looked at that.
I've forgotten too, I mean, I wouldn't mind picking up at Wave Hands
Oh,
again.
I think it was wave hands. Yes,
Okay.
I wouldn't mind picking up there again anyways, because if that is where we stopped, I think I get it, but I could use some more clarification on it.
sure.
So
Do you
that
have
would be.
a specific question there, Bill?
Where in the transition that when we're going around, I think I understand where we go from stretch to start the bend and then start to stretch again, but I'd like to hear you say it and do it.
Sure. I will say it's pretty much um, when you're center weighted and when you're at the um, maximum part of your circle to the side.
Right.
Side.
And then bending in. And then I feel like once we've kind of become holding the ball like this, then we start to stretch again.
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
All right. That's what I've been doing, but I wasn't real clear on it.
Uh-huh. I can
Sure.
demonstrate it. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, I think that's around where we finished off
I,
in the,
I think it is too. I realize. Um, okay. Um, so let's do a little bend and stretch with our standing work,
oh,
Okay.
and then we'll go on to form.
Okay. I'm gonna move things around here.
All right. Are you
so
still in
your
Maine?
occupation?
Are you still up north? Guess he
This
can't
is
hear
in
me.
So I'll ask him later.
Are you still up north, Bill?
Yes, I'm sorry. We're still up in Maine for the rest of this week.
Oh, up in Maine. Nice.
Actually, we're driving down Friday night to avoid the Saturday morning exodus up here.
Yeah. Oh, good idea. So begin stepping out, finding your center, and just making sure you've relaxed the qua, but opened the midriff, the armpits, the base of the skull, and the crown of your head, and down the perineum and your back of your knees, and relaxing your ankles and feet, opening to the earth. And then having a sense, perhaps of twisting outward and allowing the weight to move subtly towards Shimian at your heel. Sink the energy through your body. Let all the energy that your body cannot use drop downwards and into the earth. Just open and allow that flow downward. That's primarily what's happening at the moment. And then as you extend your mind through your body, allowing the weight to come back more centered to begin with, and being aware of the continual flow in both directions. Allow yourself to bend into the beginning of 8 gates. And extending, bending, and extending. Each bend finds the weight moving subtly towards Yongchuan, the bubbling well, and each extension towards Shimian at the heel. That shift is very small and subtle. Toe, Yes.
Hmm.
Oh, I hit the wrong button.
It's an interesting view.
So, when we've gone it down and under, obviously this is extended. We begin to bend, and as you step, that starts your extension. And you're extending out to this point, and then beginning to bend in, and then you're transitioning to out, and then bending back in again. And that's
So on both sides, the transition from bend to extend goes in coordination with the stepping.
well,
And after
step
we,
on the left and turn of the leg on the right.
right, when we're done with the foot movement and ready to shift the weight onto it, that's where the extending starts.
Well, it's happening during that. You,
Oh,
you got
okay,
to remember that it's not bend, pause, stretch, pause, bend. It's
right,
it's the 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 bending is coming in and the stretch is going out, and they overlap. It's not point point. It's
okay.
in um, well, it's what I said. The the it's not bend stretch. It's bend stretch.
Right,
Um, it because otherwise you create a break in the flow of the energy,
okay,
and that's true of all of them. But this is a particularly good and somewhat easier place to um, find that overlap. Other places where the changes are really quick or short, um,
right,
it's much more difficult.
right. And this one repeats around both sides too.
I'm sorry?
And this one repeats to both sides too, so it's a little microcosmic flow of the bending and the stretching.
Yep, exactly, right, right. Okay.
Okay.
Um, any questions for you, Bill?
No, actually, what we were just talking about, just briefly going back to the 8 gates, I noticed myself uh, when I move to the next posture, um, I stop moving just briefly
Yeah,
instead of keeping it going.
good.
Um,
That good to have that awareness because that allows you to work on not stopping.
yeah, yeah. Um,
Yeah, because you do. That's true, and again, um, the 8 gates are a much easier way because of the repeated movement of the same posture. It gives you time to work on those transitions.
yeah.
Um, and um, I'm not saying to you that I expect you to be able to do that merged transition instantly. It's something to work towards.
Yeah.
But I just want to make sure you understand that that's what we're endeavoring to arrive at.
Mhm. I do.
Good. Other questions for you, Jeff?
No, not at the moment.
Okay. Um, so, um, I think since this is the first time we've been together for, for 3 weeks, as you point out, um, I'd like to have each of you flow from the beginning through wave hands. So it's not very far, but let me
Right.
see where we are there. Okay,
Okay.
Together or separately?
separately.
Okay.
You want to go first or second, Bill?
I'll go second.
Okay.
I'm 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 doing this because then I can really try to focus as well as I can on Zoom.
Yeah.
And
No, understood. It's fine.
good. Um, One thing I would say right away, Jeff, much better on placement of your knee when you go into the bow stances.
Okay, good. I
You
am trying to be aware of that. Yeah.
what?
I am trying to be aware of that. That's
Yep,
been a lifelong problem, and I'm trying to fix it.
yep. No, that was much improved.
Good.
Still um, a little slippage here and there, but for the most part, a huge improvement over last week. when we talked about this.
Right.
Um, and um, I felt really very good about um, the bend and stretches for the most part. I I didn't feel that your grasping sparrow's tails were your best that I've seen
Right.
from
Right.
you, uh,
Yeah.
but that is one of the hardest ones.
Yeah.
Uh, um, you do have a tendency to lean forward from the top when you do focus,
Hmm.
and I don't know why particularly, but um, that did appear to be the case.
Okay.
Um, so just so I'm going to stay a little closer here, so hopefully you can see my arms a little better. It seemed to me, grasping sparrow's tail, that your feet were for the most part fine.
Right.
Um, when the arms come up, you still have a tendency to bring them up this way.
Uh, okay.
And as soon, really, as soon as you start to move into that upward arc, the
Right.
elbows drop
Uh,
to drive the fingers up.
yeah, I'm not dropping my elbow. I think that's the key to it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dropping the elbow is a good thing to look for all the time.
Yeah. I'm definitely not doing it there because it doesn't even enter my mind to do it.
Because
So,
this really, that's how you get that
uh,
driving into that.
right.
And then the hard one here is of course G, because you have bend, stretch, bam, bam. Uh,
Right.
and I think the only thing I would say to you about that is that I had a really hard time at first with it myself, and
Yeah.
I simply had to slow it way down
Okay.
so that I had time to practice it. Um, I, I, I would, you know, get G, I mean, Pong, G, so that I had time to do that
Okay.
and find the rhythm of it, because it's, um, I don't know how else you can build that into your body without slowing it down, really slowing it down and taking the time to find that.
Yeah, because it is such a quick bend extend
Yeah.
too. You got to slow it down, otherwise it gets muddy. It gets muddied for me all the time. I guess that's probably why.
Yep. Yep. Um, and then um, uh, Lou and An seemed pretty good. I didn't um, have a particular issue about that. I felt that those went pretty well. And actually, it seemed to me the form went more smoothly for you after grasping sparrow's tail than
Yeah,
through there.
yeah.
So
Okay.
that
But
really,
that's definitely a good realization about the elbows because that hasn't even entered my mind as far as part of what I'm trying to do, and that automatically brings the hands up in the position we want them.
yep.
Right. That's the key for me to remember from this.
It's often a key
Yeah.
um, in in
David, I think that also goes to what you were saying about me leaning forward somewhat when I'm doing the follow.
on, yeah,
Um, um, because I think I'm keeping my elbows up too high, probably.
yeah. Yeah,
So,
because there is that little, that small circle of loop, but then on is still in for a moment and then the out, but it's still down.
yeah, and I mean, but I feel like I'm probably keeping my elbows up here when I'm doing that.
Yeah, yeah,
He's raising me.
right.
I'll try and be mindful of that when I do that moving forward and see if that makes the difference.
Yep. Um, Bill, I was going to say you um, have had quite a bit of experience with dropping your elbows in gods, so
Yeah.
that may not be an issue for you.
Well, well, it does need to be monitored. So,
but but yeah, I think you do have an advantage there.
yeah,
Mm.
Do you have? Can you flow, Bill?
yeah, sure.
Okay.
It's all situated in this new space.
Yeah. Okay. Good. And I will say, lift hands improved as you went along. It that
Okay.
actually it got much better as you went along. I don't know if you were aware of that, but
Yes. Yeah.
good. Um, so I think I'd probably say the same thing to you that I said um, to Jeff about grasping sparrow's tail. to take some time in your practice to really slow it down, um, and so that um, so that you have time to work on get in each of those parts. Um, and keep working on finding the connection between your scapula and your hands. The more you can say to yourself, um, my hands aren't really the important part here. um, and that's hard because they're right out there in front of us. They're the important thing we see, but we have to try to let go of that. Um, uh, what
Yeah, I think I don't think hard enough about the scapula until I get to on. Um, and then I'm clearly trying to, push down, and that seems to activate the scapula, but more worried about the hands before that, I guess.
Yeah, and I really feel if we ever get a chance to be in person again, that I could help you with that, but it's pretty hard to do on Zoom because I can't get my hands on you.
Okay,
um, the thing is to find the connection of the scapula all the way through, of course.
right.
Um, it's present all the time and continuous, which is hopefully what we're finding in the eight gates. Um, how to do that? How can I make some movement be rooted in the scapula all the way from the beginning to the end of each movement, um, so that we can carry it over into the form. Um, uh, White Goose got very muddy. And I don't know if we've talked about this before or not. Um, it's kind of a that's also another really tough one that you really sort of have to at some point work on very slowly in order for it not to end up um, because when and remember that um, after you after you've done embrace and you come back into that left foot, you want to center there and rotate in and then turn a little right to place that foot to the corner so that as you go into shoulder, you can rotate left again. And then as you go into white goose, you have to bend, and you have three parts to the extend. 1, 2, 3. And the difficulty there is that it's very easy to end up 1, 2, 3 out here somewhere.
Yeah.
Um, so they have to be fairly small, but they all need to come from the scapula again. Um, and so, um, and it's interesting, this is a place, one of the places where there's really not another bend before the on, which is the third part, because it just is a continuation, boom, boom, of that. And so that's a that's one again, as I said, that I found that when I slowed it down, that I could find the bending and the stretch, stretch, stretch without overextending my arms or my body, um, and still have then the space to go into follow and focus.
David, while you're on those, I have a question related. When you're doing the three separate,
Yep.
with hands on White Goose, what are the energies related with each of those three specific hand movements? I know the last one you say is on, but what about the first two?
Actually, the first one is Lu, G, on.
All right, I guessed G on that one. I did not guess Lou on the first one. I
Yep.
guess because I always figured Lou is more of a, this was still more of an extension rather than what feels like a rollback, but it makes sense.
Well, yes. If you think about the movement here, this is coming up and out.
And if you continued, you would probably roll them right back by your side.
Oh.
Yeah. All right.
David, while you're up, could you go over just the foot placement from embrace to in between embrace and White Goose?
Sure. So, let me go back to the single whip just to get there. So shift, touch, step, pull down, which is extend, of course, bend in, embrace, extend out, shifting back, shift, continue the shift, but now it's a bend into the left leg, and then rotate in, turn and step forward, then rotate and shift to shoulder, and then continue rotating and slight shift forward into White Goose.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have other questions in there, Jeff?
No, I've just never, I don't know. My feet never feel exactly right in there. So
Well, yeah.
I'm either, my knee always gets a little bit of stress going one way or the other, and I can never get the foot just right so that it's good for everything. But I'm close.
Well,
Yeah, I
practice
feel,
with your knees.
Yeah, my knees kind of tend to point out a little bit too, so it's a little bit different.
Yep, yeah, I
I,
know.
I feel like maybe my steps are too big throughout that sequence.
Could be.
And I'm having to overcompensate, in other ways to get the turns and everything.
Yeah. So make them smaller. They can certainly be smaller in this form.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, Otherwise, we should move on.
Okay.
So, when you so I'm doing the last cloud hands. Here you're placing that right foot straight and coming onto the left and then back onto the right, so you can reset and into single whip. And then we go into lift hand, which is as you shift. Now that's the beginning of your bend, and it continues through the step to this point and to the step into the bow stance. And then the extend comes with the rotate and shift forward there. So you couldn't see any of that because my back was towards you. So from single whip, you've extended out, and then you begin to bend. And you bend all the way to here, and then extend into the completion of the posture. So I don't, a question about that at all?
Nope.
No.
Okay. And then we're going into high pat. I think one of the things about going into high pat from here is not to get not to get to the end of this and then make it but find the roundness of coming back. When you get to here, there's a little roundness to that, and you continue turning, and you're bending all the way to this point, and then rotating and rising into the completion of the posture. So let me turn that so you can see the front of it. So we've gone forward, we begin to bend and extend.
Okay.
Any question there?
Nope.
No.
Then we go into subdued tiger. So we have bend, step, extend. And that's it. So from do it. So we're in a high pat, and so we've risen into high pat. So now we're bending and rotating back, step, and make sure that that step is part of your rotate and sink. So from here, you're rotating, sinking back, step, then rotate and shift forward, which is the extend. So question about that one?
I just observed that my arms are closer together vertically than yours are in Tiger.
The spacing there is I've got my glasses on here, is middle dantian,
Yep.
which is right where my thumb is, where my finger is. So that's here. And the lower one is the lower dantian.
Okay.
So that's where they are.
Okay.
It is possible to feel an energetic connection to them, at least eventually. Any other questions there? All All right, so before we go to the next one, I'd like you to just flow through those three postures. So just start at the end of wave hands and do the last single whip.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so let's see. So, Bill, when you complete that last single whip,
Yes.
you want to be weighted on the left foot
Okay.
so you can rotate and extend out onto the right,
Right.
and then turn
Reset.
left
Yeah.
as you reset. And then here's another of those places where drop the elbow and into single whip.
Okay.
Um, I think we've talked before about this, but you, your tendency is when you get here and you go into reset to drop your arms and then come up
Yeah.
kind of haphazardly into the posture. So
Yep.
um, if when you do the last of your of your of cloud hands, you turn that right foot forward, but you have turned the body a little left and shifted it a little left of center.
Yes.
So and you're coming in with the arms a little because you're bending in and extending out and bending in as you reset and extending out into single whip.
Yep.
So again, there is that sense of drop the elbows and the hands are coming up and rotating into that separation. Um, and then as you go into lift hand, the first part is just a shift. And so you have to take the time. Actually, again, this is a kind of a piece of practice. You take the time until you find, how do I sit on that leg? How do I get the quad to drop into the heel so that I can touch an empty step and step, and everything has bent in at that point. And then as you rotate and shift forward, it extends out. around that corner, come back, and
Mm.
up, high pat, rotate and sink. You're bending in, step, and make sure that the step is part of your movement. So when we go to high pat, one of the things to remember is that you're 100% on that right foot at that point. So that as you rotate, that left leg is completely free. And so when you rotate right and then you begin to turn left, that places it. Boom. You don't really have to do much except let it move with the body. And then extend into subdued tiger. So try it again.
David, quick question. What's the energy as we go, as we rotate into subdued tiger? What's the energy there?
Probably G. It, there are actually, um, to keep it simple, we'll say G.
Okay.
It may it could be a Tsai. Um, it could be Lié.
That was my best guess was Lié because I could feel like a little bit of a split there. I'm over exaggerating it, but I could feel a little bit of a split there, like maybe a twisting of
Yeah.
something like that.
It it could be any of those.
Okay.
I'm not really getting you. One of the things to remember, Jeff, is that in most places, anything we define, any energy we define as a movement being expressing, it could also be something else.
Yeah. When I ask you that question, I'm asking your interpretation of it. I know there's not any definitive answer. I
Yeah.
just want your interpretation.
It it could, yes. I mean, it can be a Lie or it could be a Tsai. It could be G.
It felt very ambiguous to me, which is why I wanted to know what you thought about it.
Yeah. Um, I think to think of it as a very outgoing energy.
Right. Right.
It's it's not blue.
Right. I think G is probably better than what I was thinking. I was thinking split, but it is, it's really a pretty, more than anything, it's like an outward strike type of energy.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, one. Well, we could spend all day playing with that. Okay. Well, good. That's coming. That's getting better. Again, I would encourage you to really play with slowing it down,
Okay.
so you can really let yourself be clear about each step that you're going through, and give yourself time to do it. You know. Do you have any questions in there? Anything you're not clear about?
Uh, well, I think, yeah, as you just said, the clue for me is to really slow it down. I think I get the general idea, but I may be moving too fast to pay attention to everything I'm supposed to be paying attention to.
Well, it does help to slow it down. I'm
Yeah.
really mentioning that today because it was enormously helpful for me.
Yeah.
So it might be helpful for you. Um,
I'm sure.
we need, at this point, we're looking at specifics rather than flow.
Yeah.
And until we can do the specifics smoothly, then flow comes. So let me look at Jeff here. Unless you have another question.
No, no.
Okay.
A little high on my hands again.
Yeah. Um, so I felt like as you were going into lift hand that you started to extend too early. So you want to wait. Your extension doesn't begin until after you place the foot for the bow stance.
Right here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that. I may not have done it, but I actually do know it.
Okay.
So right here, empty step, and then now as the shift starts, that's when it starts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think-
I definitely, I know what you mean. I did mess it up. Right.
Okay.
I mean,
Um, I wanted to say something about subdued tiger, but I can't remember what.
I'll do it again.
Okay.
Now here I'm starting to extend.
Drop your elbows.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Um,
That brings my hands down too.
yeah. Yeah, I think what I was going to say was don't anticipate the step. I could see you pick up your heel
Oh,
before you arrived at the point at which you wanted to move the leg with your body. Yeah, good.
okay.
That was better.
I see what you mean. I actually was almost starting with my heel up,
Yeah,
flat foot. Yeah. I didn't even know that.
yeah. You just have to try to. I mean, the heel isn't touching the ground, but it's not lifted either.
Right. Okay.
Because once you do that lift, you've created tension in the area, and
Right.
obviously you don't want to do that.
Yeah. And I think dropping my elbows is the key to getting my hands a little bit lower too, which is what I needed to.
Yeah. You know, that Thinking about keeping the elbows down, you
Yeah.
know, actually, I'll tell you as a brief, what I think the first time that I had Dr. J and Kathleen for um, Sancho, when I was taking them back to the airport, Dr. J rather gently, although I felt strongly, indicated to me that I was carrying my elbows too high.
Oh,
And that was my first, of course, that was a long time ago. We're talking about probably 15 years ago. Um, but that was the first time anybody had ever pointed that out to me. And that made a difference. Uh,
oh,
and Bruce talks about that a lot too, because A, from a martial standpoint, keeping your elbows down protects your ribs.
oh, right.
Um, but keeping your elbows down allows the arms to connect, allows the elbows actually to connect energetically to the earth. When you get them up, you lose that.
Oh,
And so there is a real connection there that's part of the whole picture that really improves with dropping the elbow. And remembering
right.
that the armpit doesn't need much space. That robin's egg is not very big. So
Mm,
and I think that was one of my mistakes in the beginning. Um, at first, I think my first teacher wasn't very clear about that. He was clear about there should be space in the armpit, but I think he overemphasized that. And my tendency was to have my elbows up.
right.
Um,
That's my thinking as well as I am always mindful of the space there and I'm always concerned about making it too small. So I overcompensate and make it too big way too often.
yeah, I didn't mean to do that, guys. Sorry. Clearly, my eyesight does not improve. I don't have my glasses on, so that's my excuse. Um,
You know what else, David, I'm realizing from this whole conversation is the elbows being up even a little bit too much, just a little bit too much, actually does create some tension up here and gets rid of the relaxation because it's not, I'm using those muscles to get the elbows up a little bit.
yep, yep,
I hadn't thought about either. And that, that's coming out of this conversation today. So
Yeah.
yep.
please be on me about that, about the elbows, because I'm going to forget from time to time.
Okay, I'll keep on you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, it's just um, often as we discussed in a couple of places today, it's amazing what a difference it makes every once in a while when you drop the elbows.
Yeah.
Um, we have places in gods where um, we're making movements up, and everybody wants to do them this way instead of this way. So
Yeah.
it's
See, I mean, doing that, I could see visually what I was just saying. I could see th- this part of you going up.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, that's muscles. That's not
Yep,
skeletal, relaxation. That's muscle tension.
yep.
Yeah.
And you can't also as soon as you bring that kind of muscular tension in, you can't effectively open and close either energetically.
Right. Right.
And ultimately, that's an important element too, of course.
Right. Right. Right.
So We didn't add a lot today, but we added a little.
Yeah, it's good. I felt like we added a lot, actually.
Yeah, I did too.
Oh, okay.
At least I feel like I have plenty to work on. So,
I don't want you to feel cheated, guys.
No, the elbow thing to me was worth the price of admission alone.
We'll keep them down.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, have a great week, and
yep, you too.
I'll see
Thank
you in
you.
the morning, Bill.
All right. Have a good week, guys. Good to see you.
You
See you
too.
later. Take care.
Take care.
Yeah.
It may be noisy here tomorrow, Bill. I don't know
Yeah,
with the
that's
driveway, but
okay.
at least I'm inside.
Yeah, yeah,
We'll see.
yeah. We'll see you tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.